you been here, Gala? You've been here
13 years, I think.
13 years, wow.
Yeah. I think it'll be 14 years next year.
You started as a volunteer?
Yeah, I volunteered and then I quite quickly became an apprentice. And then I never left.
Okay, yeah.
And I just stayed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's quite an interesting model because all the farmers, they get housing on
Yeah.
the farm, is that right?
Yeah, so we're all, everyone who lives here is full-time employed.
Yeah.
So like anyone who's working part-time doesn't get housing.
Yeah.
But I mean it's pretty good really. I mean we're basically very lucky that the people that were here like 20 years ago put a load of mobile homes around.
Yeah.
Which we have mostly now, except for one managed to replace with actual houses.
Great.
Like with full planning, they had planning consent before the mobile houses came down.
Yeah.
Which is like pretty amazing because getting planning without having had an existing structure is almost impossible.
Yeah.
In the AONB. And I think it's the only thing. It's actually the only reason it's viable, because ultimately the farm couldn't pay us well enough to afford to live around here, because it's really bloody expensive. So that I think that's the only way that it can exist in the way that it does, and the gardeners also live on site. So yeah,
it's great.
Yeah, no, it's
and the
really
shop,
good.
I guess having that sort of affluent customer base is obviously helpful.
Yeah,
selling
it definitely is
premium product or kind of food that probably costed at the cost of production or slightly higher.
We'll definitely maybe slightly lower than cost. We try to do cost of production, but I mean it's like you're talking about that, how many farmers there are. Like there are a lot of us, and the cost of employing people has gone up a lot. And I think it's like a really classic thing in all kinds of farming that labour is a hidden cost, and actually so we all try and have 2 days off a week. That's only been in the last probably 5 years, and also only in the last 5 years have we all actually taken a holiday. And the thing is, we are all employed, and all we get, it's great, we get to live here and we get a salary, but we are not investing in something for ourselves. This business isn't, I can't leave it to my children. There's no like in the way that with family farming there's a legacy that's to be left, or there's a kind of like, we didn't go on holiday but now you get to have a farm. It's an asset. It's an asset that can be passed on, or they can be whereas I think with us, because we are literally employed, and if I left tomorrow that's it. I don't have any financial relationship with the farm beyond what I'm paid on a monthly basis. I think it's really important that those of us who work here are able to actually have a job. And as of course I was fencing on Sunday when I was meant to be off, and something happens and you'll swing back into action. But as much as we possibly can, we try and make sure every week that people are having 2 days off and are having holidays, because I think it's just, and also I think it's interesting having a lot of female farmers, because you have this, there still is a lot of farming relationships where the mother is doing everything for the children at home and feeding everybody and doing all the washing. And I think, to assume that anyone's female partner who comes to work here is going to do that now, and also probably they need a job, because our salaries aren't high enough that you don't really need two incomes. But also then actually when you also have a lot of women working, whether or not they have children, even someone who's single and they're having to do all their own washing and feed themselves, it actually does take time, and working 8 hours a week is without someone actually looking after you is basically impossible. So I think it's just quite it's quite an interesting thing, and again you aim to work, I think we're on 48-hour contracts, but it is quite hard to fit your work in to that into 48 hours. I
guess there'll be points during the year where it's a little bit quieter.
And I think it's also really interesting with what we were saying about the management structure. We don't have a farm manager. It makes you responsible for your time. So I have to try and do what I can to make sure that I'm not making myself more hours, or and then as a team we have to make it, we're going to invest some money in the milking parlour, so we get a cluster flush and another 2 milking points, because at the moment we've got 6 places the cows can stand and only 4 jars and 4 clusters. So that means you have to switch one to the other, which
so that would speed it up.
It speed it up quite a lot because it takes us, you could say, a ridiculous amount of time to milk cows. Like it probably takes Dan Burdett the same amount of time. He's got 200 and we're milking like 22, and it probably takes a lot of time. And actually, you know, there's so many reasons to make that faster. And I think labour is one, and that's why I think it's so important to consider the cost of labour sometimes. We're just like, kind of, if you consider the labour to be cheap, it's quite dangerous, because then you don't invest the money in the things that are going to help. With it not being cheap.
Well, I guess there's been a sort of culture of like not really valuing our time. So.
And I think as well, like it's got so much more expensive to employ people. You know, the national insurance contribution going up so much just like means it just costs the business so much more money to have us. You know, like
it's difficult. I guess like, you can only push up the cost of your produce by so much.
I mean you can't just, there's not like, it's not unlimited. And I buy the food. I mean we'll get to a point, you know, like even with a discount that I won't be able to buy the food. And I mean that's hot, like, you know, probably a third of the reason I work here.
Exactly.
Is I like eating really nice food. So I think it's a really interesting conundrum, that like, and what the price point is, and like what is a reasonable cost of production or an unreasonable cost of production. And I think it's a lot of work to try and figure that all out. Just check Maya hasn't messaged me. No, she hasn't. So it's an endless sort of puzzle, which is why I'm still here.
It's an interesting job, right? I mean, what would you say are the kind of key things that you love about working at Plaw Hatch? I
mean, I think I was always going to work somewhere where I had a lot of autonomy.
Okay.
I think I just love the variety. Like being able to do lots of different things. Like I love sheep, but I think if I did sheep and I electric fenced for a lot more sheep than I have, I'd just get bored. Like I do all the RPA stuff for the farm, which can be very frustrating, but I do find all of that quite interesting. And like we did the hedge planting and like and planted a little like copse the other winter, and got the funding to do the holistic management training for the team, and that was really interesting. And I think it's just like, I mean I think it's hard, but it's also is really interesting trying to improve the way the farm's managed. And it's not about, for us, it's not about growing the farm, like we've decided this is how big the farm is, but to try and make it more efficient is kind of endlessly fascinating.
And do you think sort of enterprise stacking, and obviously that's kind of like, you know, there's a lot
buzzword.
There's a lot of buzz about it. Obviously you guys have been enterprise stacking for a long time.
I think you just have to be so careful that you don't overly stack. And it takes a lot of people. I get really annoyed about the number of jobs I see where someone wants a farmer and they want them to set up a pig enterprise, run a pasture poultry business, run some beef cows and do some sheep, and I just think
they're going to burn out.
They're going to burn out, and they're just going to crisis manage. And I just I don't think it's. I think the other thing about working here that makes it easier is there isn't an owner. It's owned by a trust. It's owned by the co-op. So there's 700 shareholders, but they literally buy £100 share. They don't get anything back. There's no return of money to the shareholders. That's it. All the money that is made by the farm goes back into the farm. And like there isn't stacks of money, but we manage to do the projects we want to do. And I think it's a very different thing to working for somebody who has stacks of money. And I really would struggle to work for somebody who had a very affluent lifestyle while I wasn't being paid very much and I was working 60 hours a week. I think it's like that, to me, that makes it a lot easier. It doesn't mean that you can't burn out doing this, because you definitely could. And I think that's what's interesting about being responsible yourself for it, is you have to like keep yourself in check. Like I'm very guilty of just doing just another project. You know? I'm just going to lay this hedge, and you know, I'm just going to do this, I'm just going to do that, and then all of a sudden it's like, actually I haven't sat down for however long.
and obviously there's a big part of like sort of farming the public here. I suppose obviously you've got the shop.
Yes, Thompson Public.
How do you find that? Is that challenging?
It's getting more challenging.
Okay.
I don't know if that's just because people are less exposed to the countryside than they were. I think like television and children's books are a big part of people thinking that animals are very cuddly.
Yeah.
Our cows have horns, and the other week somebody was holding their 2-year-old over the wall into the collecting yard.
Oh my God.
Which is just like beyond comprehension for me. Like, I don't even let my 2-year-old in the yard with me. And I will, like, Elsie's nearly 7 now and she'll come with me, but I keep her next to me. She's not allowed to just walk around with the cows. And it's just things like there was someone standing by that little wooden partition under the tree. Like, there's like probably 3 or 4 6-year-olds, and the adults were like standing back, and there was a cow like going like this, and they're all just going up to it, and it's like, that cow is telling you to go away. So it's just, I think that is getting more tricky, and people, I don't know, to me it feels like a lack of respect, like because I don't want people to be scared of cows, but I think we all have to be respectful of cows. I mean, they're enormous, they could squash you very easily. And it's a bit like, I mean, it's even with dogs, isn't it? Like, I've got working dogs, and they live outside, and people are like, oh, that's terrible. But it's like, that's literally how they've grown up their whole lives.
They don't need to be bothered.
They don't need to, like, that. They love working, and as long as they come to work and they enjoy doing that, they're happy. Like, they get too hot inside because they're used to living outside. And like Tess, actually, my sheepdog I got last year, she's really shy. She's not at all aggressive, but she's very shy, and she will go up and sniff people, but if they're like actively friendly towards her, she'll really like want to get away. And she does look a bit like, I can see that you could look at her and think somebody must be horrible to that dog, but she just doesn't really like people that she doesn't know. And people get so offended that she won't let them stroke her, and I just think, well, it's just...
But obviously farms are dangerous places, aren't they? So it's a kind of tricky balance to get right.
I mean, so when I first came, people were allowed in that bit where that sign is that says no access. And we used to have the workshop in this end barn. And it became increasingly worrying because people would, someone would be angle grinding and there'd be people walking up and watching, and it's like, well, maybe they stand a bit further back. And obviously, like, this is where Daniel's just putting some silage in for the milkers. So we do there's a lot of heavy machinery in here. As like, I think it's enough to watch out for the rest of the team without having to watch out for members of the public who aren't very aware. And people people are generally respectful of the places they're not allowed to go now. So it definitely makes a big difference to how we feel about it. I think one of the trickiest things obviously is because the milking cows have to come up and down here. So we close the track. And like, not everyone respects that. And so, then you've got cows coming up and people walking down sometimes, and that can be quite tricky. But mostly, it mostly works. And I think, there are a lot of us around, just, like when that was happening with the kids, with the cow shaking its head, I just go over and say, look, that means no in cow language, that means move away. And kind of like to the parents, like, they are very big animals. Like, we've closed this area. So people used to be able to walk round, but the wooden barriers, like, the cows can could basically just go through them. And you do have people in there as well, like, and winding the cows up, and it's, I think people just need to be a lot more respectful of how big cows are and how unpredictable they can be, especially if you don't understand their body language. Because like, when you understand their body language, if you push them a bit, when you need to back off, or when you just have to be really loud, or, like, you can kind of respond to their behaviour. But if you don't understand what it is they're telling you, I mean, it's really very dangerous. But I think, I think I'm quite torn about it, because I think the only way that people are going to understand more about farms is to be on farms. And in reality, for smaller farms, it's kind of one of the only ways to actually bring in a bit more money. I mean, but what's fascinating actually is we didn't do farm walks for years, and we started last year. I think we did 4, and we're doing quite a few this summer. I think people I can't remember how much it is, like £5 or something. And I did one last summer. It was fascinating because hardly anybody on the walk had ever been to the farm before.
Wow.
And a lot of them had watched Jeremy Clarkson.
Yeah, of course. I mean, that seems to really
It's really captured people's imaginations. Yeah. And but what was interesting is even the people who were customers had never come round here. So I think it's quite interesting because we obviously, I think it's really good for people to come and see like where the food's coming from. But a lot of people don't. A lot of people just go in the shop and leave again.
Do you feel like the shop? I mean, if you kind of track the income of the shop and how it's doing. Does it keep going up and up? It does. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's done 4 or 5% every year that I've been here.
Wow.
It's increased. So yeah, it's busy. It's very busy.
Yeah.
Which is obviously amazing. The thing that is obviously going to happen with that is that because we've agreed that this size of the farm is
get to a point where
our percentage. Well, it's just our percent. The percentage of our produce, like even now,
goes down.
like I'd probably provide like a bit over half of the lamb, and we get the rest of Martin Whole.
Okay. Yeah.
But honestly, I don't think that's a bad thing. Like,
No.
I think it's brilliant that we can support other people. We buy beef from other people.
Yeah.
I think like if we can pay people something for their animals and we can sell them, I think like we should. And it's the same with the veg. We've got loads of really great local veg producers. And then Tommy's been buying cheese from all over the place. Again, and I just think like, as you said earlier, like we're on this road in this quite affluent area where people want this stuff, whereas lots of people don't have that market, and so they need to sell. And if we can sell their produce, I think that's great.
Yeah, definitely.
Not everyone needs a shop. Like, it's a lot of work having a shop. If it's not this busy, it's very expensive to run.
Yeah.
You need enough customers coming through the door to make it worthwhile being open. Pay all the staff. I mean, it's like, if it's not busy, you could lose money quite quickly having a shop. It's not. It's not a cheap thing to do. And it's I think we had this. This was the first winter we bought milk in. We've never bought milk in before, and I just had this day when I was like, so we buy meat in, so the butchery can process it. Why don't we buy milk in? Like, what's because of the cows. The yields. It's two things. One thing, we're selling loads more milk than we used to, like in bottles. So then there's much less milk to make cheese and yogurt. And the other thing is we were buying in other people's yogurt anyway. So it's like, well, why don't we just make some? Yeah. So we bought milk from Organic Herd, and obviously it's all packaged differently to our yogurt made from our milk. But that was really helpful because also, I think the other thing about being an employer is like we want the dairy staff to have enough work. And if we have hardly any milk in the winter, then they're not going to have any work. So, buying the milk in means that we can keep them busy, doing what they like doing, which is making yoghurt and cheese and kefir. Not very much cheese, but...
So the majority of the milk is sold as raw milk, right?
Yeah, it is now. It's changed a lot. I can't remember I think it was like in 2017 or something, there was a moment, I think the milk, like the fresh milk sales were down like 13%, but they've gone up a lot. People really are loving the raw milk. And some people, that's all they will buy. Other people come and do their weekly shop. Like people come down from London, buy a whole week's worth of food. And other people just come buy a couple of pints a few times a week. So it's good to have all of them.
And so you've got a coffee truck here as well?
So that's owned by somebody. Well, we own the barn, but Nick owns the business. And so he does that Tuesday to Saturday. Which I think is another great thing, isn't it? Because it's like, I'm going to go to the shop and then you can get coffee as well. It's like just an extra temptation.
Spend more money.
Spend more money. And it's nice for us as well.